And now we are going to rush into the interesting world of localization. And my topic today is how to organize good localization uh, work in the project. It's not only about choosing a language, but how to strengthen and reinforce it with linguists, the people who will do the part of work. And I would like to mention that one part of this was already mentioned. For example, we have freelancers that help out to make our product better in other languages. So let's get into the topic. About myself, Irina told about myself. I'm Anton Gashenko. I'm the founder of localization school Game Localization. I usually speak about localization in general, what it takes to execute everything in localization sphere, because they do not speak about it in universities. So you cannot find a lot of this information on the internet, but actually the guys can be prepared after they have finished their school. I am also a manager at a studio of localization of games, Levsha. Now I came out from the managerial works, but I still work with the projects. I'm actually waiting for some releases of the games where I am in the titles. I realized more than 60 projects. It doesn't seem very many, but come on, guys, that's a lot of work to do. I would like to thank the UT camp people here. We actually brought a lot of interesting speakers, and now it's actually interesting to hear all the guys here. I follow all the lectures, and I would like to thank everybody, both the lecturers and the spectators. Guys, we are doing the same big localization flow. Thank you so much, everybody. So I manage projects more than 4 years already. I did about the software and games themselves, and I actually saw some chaotic consequences about getting the projects together. I made mistakes myself. What I like in our team, I say we always say we are not ideal. We can make mistakes. Everybody can make mistakes. It's normal, and the same refers to managers of other companies. For example, on the side of the customer. For example, if you just can take a project and just translate it, no. It's a very big, complicated body that is quite sophisticated. Localization is not just about translation, but more. What is chaos? Chaos is basically the condition when something goes wrong there. For example, here Flanders says, "Stop it." And how chaos can be represented? It can be either inside the company, for example, on the localization part, and also on the side of the client. I said that it can be on the side of the translators, but I also would like to mention about the client's side as well. So, chaos on the side of the clients. By working in other companies, I came to the conclusion that not all of them actually understand how the process is done. Sometimes guys come to us and they don't know how everything works. And then I ask a question. We calculate how much something will cost, but there are no answers from the customer about what it takes to get it translated. And on our part, as the executor, I understand that they just don't understand us. And sometimes these files can actually be in chaotic manner. For example, if we speak about the Japanese work, you can actually see that the file can be very difficult when everything is inside one file, and you would like to upload it to some CAD instruments. You have to do a lot of work. But let's speak that if there is no information whatsoever, I would like to reveal you a secret. In 90% of cases, we actually do not see how this game will look like. As other people already mentioned, we have to test it. If the customer actually doesn't understand that it has to be tested, then there could be an unpleasant situation. So, for example, where the text goes, who speaks what, in majority of the situation, we actually do not have the situation like this, and sometimes we just do not have reference whatsoever. And if we speak about the developers, these are the people that can give additional information on the characters, about some history that goes behind it. And with that, it's much simpler to localize and translate this game. In small companies, it goes like this pretty well. In bigger companies, they just lack time. And if we speak about the lack of communication, I had a situation when we spoke about translation of Japanese translation, and we had to look into subtitles and then ask our client what it was about. So we actually asked about these questions. We kept asking, but we never got the answers. And actually, nobody of the managers on their side was not collected actually. So the job of this person was actually just to send the file, to receive it, and that's it. So this situation is not very good when the client actually ignores us, and that's very bad. And if we consider Japanese games, it's quite an intimate thing about limitations on the characters. And so if you know about this localization, so without communication, it's very, very bad. Our task is, if there are problems like this, we need to become a friend to our client and to help them make a good localization process in a way that we can do. And the client needs to understand that we trust him, and vice versa. So the good process looks like this. We have two sides. We have a client and we have the executor. So we have Kate. She's a manager on the side of the developer, and we have Petya, the manager of the studio. Katya asks the question, what do we need to prepare to make the process better? And this question involves, do you actually need new mechanics of catching fish, for example? It can be very unusual, and the translators might not be able to work with it. Petya will be very happy to receive something and to receive as much information as possible, and it will be much easier for the linguists involved in the projects. If the linguist does not understand something, then she can answer the questions. If there are something in Ukrainian thing, for example, is it gender, male or female? In English, it will be just I came, but it has to refer to different people people, and there will be different endings regarding of the male or female. On the other side, we have Petya, the manager of the localization studio. They are make this studio together, but he's also a liaison between the linguists. He also helps Katya about Kate instruments, about cat instruments, and actually he can help. And guys, we do the same thing, and let's make the order on this. And they answer all the questions on localization. So if something is not understandable, he can actually help out. These are must-have things. This is an ideal thing where we have the order. Sure enough, if the company is bigger, the more probability for having chaos there. But you cannot actually have the ideal order everywhere. There could be some problems with it, but we need to try to get to it. So for me, as a person who works in localization, is actually to build up a good process. Sometimes it happens that the client does not have experience, but we do have more experience because in our localization studio we help people, and we actually help people to not to step on the rake. And in our case, it will be to take this person by the hand and to walk through this path. We are doing the same product together, and with this warmth feeling, we approach our client, then they understand it's not only about the content translation, but we actually do the same good thing, and it's a very good thing how our cooperation will look. And then the question, you actually started speaking about linguists. Why are you talking about clients? As I said before, we speak about the chaos in two ways, on the client side and on the localization studio. So the chaos can be in-house team as well, if the company has the freelancers, the managers, and they do this localization work. Let's do this. In reality, chaos inside the company, it's an uncontrolled process. Both client and the studio will use the process word, and it could be quite lengthy. It can be about social games. Something is localized, checked, and it's good when they are checked by the testers. And this process repeats it all over and over again. And as they said before, why don't you make a good localization? We speak about the deadlines, and very often they say that the translation needs to be done for yesterday, and this tendency is always about different projects. Sometimes they actually make changes or amendments to it. Please translate it very fast, because tomorrow we are having the release of the game. It's a very bad situation. So sometimes there could be different situations. For example, one person took something and then just vanishes into thin air, and we don't know where this person is. Or when there is a toxic atmosphere in the team, somebody doesn't like somebody, scolds, it's actually an extreme bad situation, and that is the not controlled situation.
In reality, such uncontrolled process in most cases are due to linguists. A manager is a person who needs to organize the process, but the linguists will do the work. So if we imagine a mechanism, let's say a wheel, the bigger thing that is in the middle is something related to a manager, and the smaller wheels that are brought into movement by the bigger wheel are the linguists. So we need to be very careful with what and how our linguists do. I really think that we, as managers, I hope there are many managers, watch us, talk to their contractors a lot. Talking to your linguist is good practice. Communication is anyway key to a good process. A linguist, an editor, these are the people who are key to your process. Without them, your ideas will not be alive. You will not be able to sell your product and earn money and help people. So, how do we do it if our linguists are not doing a proper job? Nobody will want our product. Nobody will be able to answer some questions, do some notes, or use your app in any other way. And if people are visual bodies, so texts are important, but pictures are important as well. Anyway, close communication with your linguist is important. Just ask them how they are, what's up. When I teach, I always instruct people to have communication with linguists, friendly communication, because friendly relationship doesn't mean sloppiness. It, on the other hand, means better workflow. So cases from our company, we do have situations when there are many games, quite large games, and like any other large projects, tasks come during the week. Friday, end of the day, everyone's looking forward to a weekend. We did a lot with some Japanese game, variables, tags, symbols. It's Japanese, you need to communicate to the client, so people were busy with that for 5 days. It's Friday, end of the day. So what would you do by the end of the working day? Would you just say people, goodbye, have a good weekend? So you work, they work, and you write nothing at all? I don't do that. I decided a different approach. I tried to use something just to switch people. We have a habit of sending memos to the people, because then people will have to leave their work with a different mood. Otherwise, all they think is those variables, those tags and complications that they had during their work time. I understand it, because when I started working, I tried to do as much as possible. I worked at the weekends. I came home and I thought about managing job or translation job during the weekend. I kind of burnt out. So having that kind of experience, I realized that I wanted more informality. And I sent them little notes. We made fun. We had a bit of a laugh on Fridays, 7 p.m. And people switch. And I try to create such friendly atmosphere. My translators, my editors need to be friendly. I want them to help each other. But how are they supposed to do that if there is a lot of tension in your team, or people just think that all they need to do is earn money? If we're talking about games, this is not a serious, so to say, industry. We need to be kind, we need to be fun. When I only started doing localization for the first 18 months, I was busy with a large project related to editing images, photos, and I also wanted to have a nice atmosphere with my linguists. And at the bottom of my page, this is a goodbye letter from one of my interpreters who said that the workflow was perfect with you. Thank you very much for being my manager. And this is another supporting evidence that tells us that communication means a lot, and there are many ways to do it. But good communication can boost your company, help it develop. and you will really get a lot and you will do things together. Because in the end of the day, you work for your users and get profits from making them happy. Then just be people, be humans. Everywhere we talk about people, we mean that. Let's be honest. That we heard from the previous speeches that as well, that you need to be kind to your linguists. Your linguist is sick? Find out. It's been a difficult week. Talk about something of no serious matters. If you feel that your interpreter is tired, just talk about something else, not only work. Be human, be caring. Of course, have a good working space. Sending references to your linguists apart from the task is not a good idea. Have some kind of a space, a working space, where you can store all of your working materials. Just imagine your linguist needing to go to one letter to get reference, then to another file to get something else, one more letter. That's a nightmare. Have some kind of a board in Trello or in something else. This is a funny Half-Life 3 board, and I collected just all the reference you could need for this project. Technical information on commas and dots, memory of their translations. Anything can be done here, and you can also make notes what stays, what has to be replaced or corrected in the text. Of course, you need to have a questions and answers file. This is a very important thing, because of course your linguists will have questions. If they just send them in some kind of a chat or email, that will be lost on the way. So have a specific file about questions and answers. Use Google Docs. You give access based on email, and your colleagues will be able to call there, ask their questions. Your client needs to have access and then look into this spreadsheet and answer questions. But this is a very, very important thing, that it's worth having that on your project. Of course, if a client doesn't answer questions, I had it once, I told you about my Japanese project, remind them, and I hope you will never have a problem when your client is non-responsive for 6 months. And number 4, be realistic about your tasks. Once I had a situation when I was working with Indian colleagues. I needed to do 16,000 words for today's game, and we said, okay, but there's many people. This is doable, but what about quality? It's a very big question then. So please do think about deadlines and be realistic about how much your linguists can do. People have their limits. Don't overwork them. If you understand that they can do 3,000 words a day, don't give them 4, because this surplus of 1,000 of words can really be too much, and the person will make many mistakes. So let's not turn them into Schrödinger cats, because clients sometimes need something just now. But be honest, just tell them, we can do it quickly, but then in terms of quality, that will not be good. Let's find a different way. Warning about risk is much better and much easier than, well, be punished because you made mistakes. That's true. Well, I need to come to conclusions. So, concluding, chaos is the situation where something went wrong. The client can have its own chaos, and the company that has the service of localization can has a different kind of chaos. No one's perfect. There will always be something there, but we need to try to reach the situation when we have a friendly atmosphere and healthy workflow. Both of these causes are curable. We need to support the client and help in difficult cases. If a client came to us, they need them. We need to support clients, help them, be friends with them, and have good partnership relationships. Such clients stay. They will be with you until the end. You need to remember about that and teach your clients about this. We do one thing together. Then, your linguists, be nice to them, communicate to them, make them laugh, have some kind of fun. If you live in one and the same city, get together, go to a park or to a bar, just have something, have some rest. Your linguists will be even more devoted. They will never disappear into the thin air. They will always be on your side. And this is really healthy workflow. So, what's next? A bit of an advertising. If you need to localize a game, you can come to my company, Levsha. This is the first QR code. Just use your phone camera and we will help you with localization, which we do well. We can do it in different languages, not only English or Russian. So if you need to localize your game, do come to us. If you want to learn more about localization, come to my school, Game Localization. I think I started the blog in 2018 and I like it more and more with each year. I tell about localization, working with variables, with constants, with many other things that are important in localization, which we heard about. Our colleagues talked about them. If you have some time, then please go with your questions, or you can always write to me. These are my contacts. Good. So do we have questions? Thank you. That's a great presentation. Really interesting. There were so many cases today. I would not stop listening. Each of the companies have different approaches to their workflow, and we really can learn a lot. The question I have is about communication. We talked about it. We all have our different views. We heard people talking about how important it is. So, do you have a team of translators, editors, and managers? How do they communicate? Do they communicate directly, editors and translators, or do they use managers? We have a common space as a Slack, and for each of the tasks, we have a special chat for linguists where they can talk. So, on a project, they can always communicate through a chat, ask questions, make fun. So, a translator has access to the editor and back. Oh, yes, of course. Because if something is not clear, they need to discuss it. After all, like you all do it, right? You are professionals, you understand what you're doing, and you understand that these professionals need to help each other, and a manager is also necessary, again, to help. So, do we have questions to Anton? If you have more questions later, you can also email to Anton or get in touch with him in some other way, and he will be happy to answer. We have a quiz on UTCamp Instagram. Please do join in. If you win, you can get a place on a course, and I will be happy to welcome you to this course. Thank you very much again. Then we will call it a day here then.